Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome. This is a collective pick a card reading, and I actually asked a little while ago for suggestions from my followers over on Instagram for the different types of readings they thought would be helpful right now. And there was a couple of different suggestions about life situations that felt best to be covered by a bigger picture reading. So this is looking for the things that perhaps we don't see about particular situations in our life. Maybe there's a bigger picture, and the purpose of this reading is to help us look at those situations, bring through any information, different perspectives that might help us with seeing this situation, the situation on your mind, from a bigger picture worldview. So, I have selected 3 different sets of cards. I haven't looked at these cards. They are from multiple different oracle decks. There's a couple of tarot cards in there and some message cards that I've chosen myself. I've written myself, sorry. There are 3 different crystals to choose from today that correlate with the piles, with the energy that I'm feeling. I always choose those intuitively. And, I think it's best before you pick your pile to really tune in with yourself, tune in with the situation that you would like guidance on, and then you can have a feel, whichever way you like to choose. Maybe it's the number, maybe it's the crystal, maybe it's just a feeling you get, your own intuition. And if you've got more than one situation, of course, you can pick more than one pile. On that note, not all messages in a pile might be for you. There might be something in there that's very, very specific and doesn't relate to your situation, or you might just feel like it doesn't make sense for you, and that's absolutely okay. Equally, that message might just be for somebody else, but there might be multiple messages for you in different piles, or you might have different situations that you want to listen to different piles about. So maybe there's one that's to do with love, then career, then it's something else. Feel free to allocate this as you feel best for you. And remember, these readings are always for guidance. I personally believe that we have free will. Nothing is set in stone. So if you hear something and you don't like it, please don't feel that that is it. You're stuck because the reading told you to. I personally don't work that way. I think that readings can help us to inform our actions, our choices, help us look at our own beliefs and our perception, the way we're looking at a situation, and how we can approach things from a more holistic perspective, looking at the whole picture of ourselves, of our lives, of everything else within it, so we can make the best choices we can make. So, without further ado, pile number 1, we have Amethyst today. For pile number 2, we have this tourmalinated quartz, which is quartz with black tourmaline inside it. And for pile number 3, we have this beautiful piece of labradorite. So as ever, if you need to pause the video, please take as long as you need to think about your question, think about the situation, to choose and select your pile. And then there'll be timestamps in the description box below where you can just skip straight to that part of the reading, and I will see you over there. Either pile number 1, this is your reading if you were called to these cards and the amethyst crystal today. So I'm going to set your crystal up there, and we're going to deal your cards out. I'm going to leave the 2 little message cards to last. So emotions are running high. Nature, curiosity. I love that these are very similarly coloured. Set with chaos. Got 3 of these. Got the sage in the reverse. 5 of fire, which is a 5 of wands. The 2 of water, which is the 2 of cups. Throat portal. Be open to new potential. Let go of the past. Interesting. Just going to double check you can see those. Okay. So this is a bigger picture reading. Now, instantly, because we have this 2 of water with this 5 of fire, I'm getting the sense, and with set chaos, that there is potentially quite a high conflict situation, or there's been a lot of conflict with a particular close relationship. It could be multiple relationships, but I'm really thinking there is probably one situational relationship that you are emotionally invested in of any kind, and there's been quite a lot of high conflict, or there maybe is a situation that has created conflict and separation between you. Now, interestingly, it seems quite clear cut because we have all of this energy over here. You know, we've got the emotions running high with the supermoon, which literally tells me that things are being very, very amplified. But moving through, we have set chaos and the sage here, which to me is saying perhaps there are problems at the moment, or there is things that have maybe come to light, things that have been revealed, things that have been said, things maybe that have been done, and it feels like there is no way of overcoming them. Like there isn't, you can't see the way to overcome them. But I'm really being drawn to these 2 owls here. We have the sage in reverse, but if we look here, we have the owl. Obviously, owls are symbols of wisdom. And we have the owl on this nature card as well. And what I'm getting from this is, at the moment, within this high energy, this intense energy where the emotions are running high, you might not be able to find the wisdom or the answers that you need in order to bring a solution, in order to find peace. We've got the broken arrow, which is the energy of peace here. And this, I believe, goes back to, sort of indigenous peoples and how they would break their weapons as a symbol, as an offering to the other party, that this was a declaration of peace. Like, I'm not going to launch weapons at you. I'm not going to, I'm going to break those weapons to remove that as a possibility. And there is this sense here that things might have been so intense. With the throat portal here, there was a throat, this is the throat chakra. This is all about speaking our truths, about communication, about talking about those things that are truly deeply being held within us. The truth that has perhaps been suppressed, the words that we haven't been able to speak. And I think there's a couple of things that I'm being drawn to that I just want to bring up. And this is, I'm saying this, I mean, I'm an artist and I spend a lot of time looking at shadows, highlights, color theory, and oppositional colors and how they're used. And if you look at these 3 cards, they're all from the same deck. So obviously this is the artist's choice, but the highlights and the shadows are all of oppositional colors. You know, this is all blue, so the highlights are in orange, like an orange yellow glow. This is all fiery energy, so the shadows are in this blue energy. And what it shows me, what I feel the message, the deeper symbolism of that is that there is always a way to bring about the opposite energy to what you're experiencing. If there's been a lot of intensity, conflict, there is always a way to come back to peace. And what I feel we have here with the curiosity card and the nature is this ability to change the environment, for some specifically getting out into nature to get away from this energetic environment, maybe clearing your space in whatever way feels appropriate. Now that can be done in multiple different ways. Say this was conflict with a romantic partner and that conflict has been happening inside the home. You don't have to go and develop a really intensive clearing practice um, to do that. You can do that with music. You can do that with literally opening the windows, allowing things to literally blow through. You can, of course, use um, things like incense of different kinds. You can use music, energy, vibration in order to shift that, but finding a way to shift the energy within the home. But with this curiosity card, I love most of all that this came out, because it tells me with this throat chakra card here, there is a way to resolve this situation. And perhaps, this sage in the reverse, not having the answers, not knowing what to do at the moment, it feels like there is a lot of emotion invested in this relationship, and curiosity, asking the right questions, being curious about finding new solutions, about finding new ways, about finding different ways to overcome these troubles, is going to shift that energy, is going to allow for new possibilities. And I love that within my own little cards that I've made, we have be open to new potential. Absolutely. There is a new there is new possibilities within this relationship. But at the moment, the way things are in this insular environment, you could find that the same arguments keep coming up, that it's the same conflict that keeps coming up. And the only way to shift that is to do something differently, is to have different conversations, is to find different approach to trying to find a resolution within the self, thinking about being this peaceful warrior. If you truly want to resolve the situation, it's finding a way to lay down the weapons. And our words can be weapons, our actions can be weapons. The ways in which we speak to others can be like an attack. The way in which, and I say that, we take responsibility for our own actions, and we can only change ourselves. This very much is saying that we look at the ways in which we have contributed to a situation and how we can resolve that. And before any big decisions are made, because this is very much about emotional conflict and finding a way. It's like drawing a line under what has been up to the present moment, being curious, doing some research, finding a different way, learning how to de-escalate and regulate yourself so as not to add to the conflict. And then from your point of view, you have not approach the situation in the same way, which should in itself shift the energy, but you can only do your work on the other side of it. That said, there does need to be honest and open communication, and let go of the past. That was the other message card that came through. Letting go of the past, because we often go into these vicious cycles, repeating cycles within relationships, especially where there's high conflict. So maybe at certain points, you just keep coming back to the same argument, to the same conversation, to the same words that keep being spoken over and over, or maybe just tiptoeing around certain subjects without truly saying what it is that needs to be said. And that truth that's held within, sometimes it really does need to come to the surface. Because when we don't, when we suppress it, when we hold it in, it becomes internalized and we hold on to it, and then it just bubbles away underneath the surface. And whilst set in chaos isn't a particularly it's not necessarily an energy many people would invoke. Sometimes there needs to be this chaotic shift, something that comes in, a bit like a tower energy or the Hagalazun. It needs to come through. Things need to be exposed, brought to light, shifted in order for there to be meaningful change afterwards. But it can't come on the back of a half truth, of words unspoken, of things that haven't been acknowledged, openly expressed. and processed, because with this Two of Water here coming out in the upright, this is a very deep and loving connection. This is, this shows two people connected and together. So it really feels like this is showing you a way to overcome this conflict, and that there is a new way, but you have to let go of the past and be open to the fact that things can change. You do that initially by shifting the energy, by maybe going out into nature, reconnecting with your own inner nature. Maybe that is more of a metaphor, and it is the things that make you feel like yourself. Maybe that's time with friends. Maybe that's time engaged in activities that are meaningful for you, that make you feel more like yourself, your truest self. And then being curious about new ways and possibilities to stop this conflict, to find different ways of communicating, of being open with each other without resorting to weaponizing each other's experiences or words or feelings against each other, which just perpetuates the cycle of conflict. So I'm just going to get a couple of tarot cards. And see if there's any specific messages on how we can resolve this. And I'll take this moment just now to remind you that this is a collective reading. I do offer personal readings over on my website and my Etsy channel if you were ever interested in one of those. So please feel free to check those out or email me if I can assist you. Okay. Yeah. I think this really echoes what the previous cards were saying. And this is saying to me that you don't want this situation to end in total heartache. You don't want this to, I don't think you see at the moment how you can overcome this. You just know that you don't want the total heartache. Maybe it's a breakup, maybe it's the end of a long-term relationship. Like, that isn't your sort of goal, if that makes sense. Let's get some specifics on how to overcome this, because I've got an idea, but I just want to ask for a little bit more guidance, please. Yes. Okay. I might get one or two more to clarify in a moment, but that's okay. I'm going to put that there. Hopefully that's still in shot. So, with the Queen of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, and the Three of Cups coming out in the reverse, in order to overcome this situation, it feels, this nature card, and the Queen of Pentacles is typically a very grounded, very secure kind of an energy. She's a very Taurian energy. So this is very deeply connected to our earth energy. This, again, connected to nature, being grounded. This is saying to me that perhaps there is a need to find a way to ground yourself and to be able to feel safe and secure within yourself as you approach this situation. And this could look in many different ways. This could be very, very different for many of you. Maybe it's needing a third party to assist. So that could be counseling. It could be counseling for you. It could be couples counseling for some, where that's appropriate, because there are situations where that isn't so appropriate, depending on the relationship and the type of conflict. I'm really getting from this that, especially with the Page of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, and that was upright, that there is this need for bringing forwards this conversation, bringing forwards a message of some kind. Maybe there has already been a separation, or maybe it just feels like a lot of separation emotionally. There needs to be a peace offering. somebody that steps forward in this energy of peace. But it feels like to do that, you need to be able to build this peace and security within yourself first, where you can say, okay, I don't know how this situation is going to go. I do not have all the answers. I only know that I can bring forth my best energy in order to overcome this. And the second message here, in order to overcome this, there needs to be a letting go of things from the past. If you hold on, I'm going to have to clarify this. There are certain situations where forgiving and forgiving and forgiving, and I'm talking about high conflict where, perhaps abuse might be present. There are certain situations like that where continually letting go and apologizing is repeating a cycle, and that might not be safe. That won't be for everybody, but in other situations where you have two couples that are open to, committed to doing the work, to resolving some of these issues, to improving the situation as a whole, in that situation, sometimes there has to be a letting go of certain situations or patterns or arguments that repeat in order to overcome things, in order to move forwards, in order to find that new beginning, that new potential, that fresh energy. It's that drawing a line. And like I said, I want to really, qualify that and emphasize the fact that that isn't appropriate in all situations, but hopefully you will know your situation well enough. Equally, if that's something that you have just continually been doing and just letting go and letting go and letting go, then there does need to be a change, perhaps, where maybe you get some fresh perspective, not from this person within the situation, but from within yourself. And if you need support and assistance in doing that, I would definitely say seeking that out would be very beneficial. With this Three of Cups in the reverse, for some of you, it really feels like taking the time to go out and to have enjoyable moments together might be something that you haven't had the opportunity to do for a while. Might be something that you have been missing within your relationship, within this connection. And again, this doesn't have to be romantic. I think for a majority it will, but it could be a parent or a child. You could be either in this dynamic. It could be a really close friend. Just somebody that you deeply care about and love at the deepest level, beyond all of the conflict and issues that you've been experiencing. There is a need here for connection, to be able to go out to do something together, something meaningful, something enjoyable. And that could have been something that's really lacking. So for others of you, making the time to do that, making the time to have those experiences together could be really, really beneficial. And I think this is a process. Just as we have cycles of conflict that repeat and go forwards, if we're going to find the alternative to that, and that we need to build those cycles of repair, the cycles of rebuilding, and you're not going to have everything right the first time you try. It's like anything, whether it's a skill that you're learning, any kind of skill, whether that's emotional or practical, there needs to be this cycle of learning. Sometimes you're going to nail it, it's going to go amazingly. Other times, perhaps not so much. Perhaps you need more practice. But there is this process of being committed to creating change, which means learning and building new cycles, new emotional patterns, new ways of communication that really help to heal, to overcome. And that is the new potential. So pile number one, I'm going to leave this here. This is the message that was coming through for your bigger picture reading. I hope it's assisting to some of you. I hope it provided you with some valuable insight. And just as a reminder, if you would like any personal assistance from me, please feel free to reach out. But I thank you very much for being here and spending your time with me. It is always a pleasure and an honor to do these readings for you. So just sending you all my love, and I will see you again in another reading. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello there, pile number two. Really interestingly, So if you were drawn to this part and this crystal, then this is your reading. Interestingly, I use a beautifully blended protection and purification oils between my readings. And both times when I've been getting things set up, the protection oil has fallen off and rolled onto your pile. Now, black tourmaline is very, very protective, and this is tourmalinated quartz, so it's clear quartz with black tourmaline within it. I'm getting this really strong sense that there is, before I've even started, I haven't seen your cards. There is perhaps something that's very dear to you, something that you've been working on that needs protecting, or negative energy. You might feel like you've got maybe haters, maybe negative energy coming towards you, something of this sort. But we'll get into it. We'll see what's going to come through. So I'm going to do your message cards last. I'm going to find the best way to arrange these. So we have a personal issue reaches resolution, grief, radiant, druid, hold space, Maui, discovery. We've got the 10 of earth, the 3 of water, I love this, and the crone, wow, and they're all uprights, wow. We have reflective truth, and what do you have? You have months, trust the process. This is fascinating. This is a complete vibe shift from pile number 1. Okay. I'm getting the sense of rebirth, reawakening, rediscovery. Now, this is a bigger picture reading. From where you are, I'm feeling that you might have had some kind of disappointment. Maybe there is something that hasn't worked out for you. Maybe it's felt like there have been just things that have been blocking your path repeatedly. Maybe you feel like you just haven't got to where you wanted to be. Things haven't come together. Maybe you're having to accept what feels like failure or loss, and that is bringing with it this, this amount of grief. And it could be, maybe you've gone through several cycles like this, and this could be to any different situation in your life. It could be romantic relationships. It could be something to do with work. Maybe it's something like a passion project, something entrepreneurial, something you've been trying to do. And I'm really drawn to the fact that in 3 of these cards, we have very powerful staffs. We have the druid who has his crystal topped staff here. We have the crone who also has her crystal topped staff. And then, whilst this isn't really a staff, metaphorically speaking, it's a spear, but we have, as a metaphor, it's something that directs power in a particular direction with a particular intention. So there is some sort of goal here, something that you have been aiming towards. This might just be within yourself, because we have reflective truth and we have this 3 of water. Things that you were looking to overcome, things that you have been working to overcome within your life, and it feels like quite a spiritual person, or at least you have this belief in maybe universal intelligence, universal forces, spiritual powers. Maybe it could be from any different religious, spiritual background, whatever is important for you. You feel, at some sort of core level, there is some sort of divine force working here to assist and support you. But things have been weighing you down. The weight of your personal experiences could have been weighing you down. And, I'm drawn back to this grief card. It feels heavy. Grief feels heavy, and grief doesn't just come from, grief can come from any kind of loss, and it can literally feel like this weight upon your back. However, all of these butterflies, we have the butterflies here and the butterflies in the reflective truth card, and I'm literally getting that this butterflies being symbols of great and powerful transformation, a literal transformation of the self, which is interesting for me, because I've literally just finished a painting on that theme. there is this transformation of the self that is coming through, that is a process. And you could have been through multiple processes like this, and you could feel very, very frustrated. But this issue is coming to resolution. You are going to have this transformation. You are going to see the end of this cycle. We have a personal issue reaches resolution. This is the full moon in Cancer. At the time of this reading, excuse me, problem two. At the time of this reading, we are in Cancer season. So it could be that this change, maybe you have a realization or some kind of awakening that starts this process now. Maybe you're very much in this process. Regardless, Cancer energy is a lot to do with our emotions. It's a water sign. So there is this letting go of the past experiences. There is this potential for celebration. You are going to come to a very good place. I love this Radiance card. I think this message of protection is whatever's going on in your life, this radiant core of self, this transformation, where you're headed, the dream, hope, vision, goals you have for the future, there is this level of protection here. And you are going to have this rebirth, this reawakening into this radiant self. And I think your bigger picture message is you might not see this right now. You might not be feeling this. Maybe you're feeling very stuck in this process. But you are going to come to this 10 of Earth, this 10 of Pentacles energy, this feeling where you are secure again, or you do feel comfortable again, or you do feel at peace again, and able to move forwards with the things that have been happening, move forwards and overcoming what has held you back. We have the Trust the Process card. So very much you were in the midst of this transformation cycle, and something that Crone energy very much would understand. You get to a point where maybe you've had many of these transformations, maybe you've gone through many of these life changes, and through them it can feel very destructive. It can feel very much like loss, like grief, as parts of ourselves or people from our life, things that we really were committed to, invested in love with, were all at the heart of this phase of our life that then becomes a past phase of our life, which involves a process of letting go, of lovingly releasing the experiences that we had. We still have the memories, we still have the positive intent from those experiences, and of course with the Crone energy, everything that they have taught us. All of that was valid, important, and what it does with the Druid hold space here, there's a lot of wisdom here. And this is wisdom that comes from experience. This is a wisdom that we gain over time through going through these cycles, through going through these life changes. And I think sometimes we become so stuck in the very real emotion of the present moment that we lose perspective of the times we've overcome other challenges such as this, of the times that we've dealt with seemingly insurmountable problems, or felt like things would never change, that they were never going in the right direction. And they are, it is, they did, and you were doing this again. And you were going into a phase of rediscovery. But in order to have some of those new beginnings, those new experiences, to open the door to that new potential, there is a process of letting go of what no longer is serving you, is perhaps destined to be a part of your life right now, which is where the grieving comes in. We don't always make the choice to let go of some of these things. Sometimes they leave our life, and that can leave us with the sense of grief, with the sense of loss, and it brings us into that attachment energy. I'm not saying this is easy. That's why it's a process, and it's a full emotional process where if you look at the grief cycle from a psychological perspective, it's a cycle that you go through, and sometimes you'll go partway through the cycle and back. Multiple times you'll go through it. But there will come a point where you realize that you've stepped into a new cycle, where you've stepped into new hope, new possibility, new beginnings. And through that, you will have a beginning of a new cycle. And it's built on wisdom. So everything that you've gained, all the experiences that you have and have had at this part of your life have been really important. But you're embarking upon something new. And in fact, more importantly, in order to fully embrace this new experience, this new phase of life, perhaps there is this process of letting go, which we don't necessarily want to do. But there are some things when we're very real with ourselves that it is time to let go of, that it is time to surrender and to release. So this is asking us to be true and honest with ourselves about what needs to change. Just deciding which tarot cards that I'm being drawn to. And I think I'm being drawn to the Spacious Tarot. I'll take this opportunity while I'm shuffling this deck just to remind you that this is a collective reading, and I do offer personal readings and guidance if that would be something that you're interested in. All of my information is in the drop down box below. So we have the Four of Swords. Okay, how can we best overcome this? Just a couple more, please. Just going to get one more card before I... Yeah. I think in the past, if you're very emotional, intuitive, empathic, and when I say emotional, I mean just in tune with your emotions, I feel like you could have given a lot to situations that perhaps haven't come to fruition, where things haven't happened. And I love that that's just popped out. I'm going to honor that. Where things haven't happened, where things didn't go the way you wanted to. And actually, it's through those disappointments or those sensations of loss where perhaps we can establish where we've overgiven or where we've not honored ourselves by overgiving and becoming imbalanced with the direction of our energy, with our good intent. And when that's actually then become almost a damaging part of our life and we become depleted, exhausted, and drained. With the Four of Swords coming out first, this is a sign that it's time to rest. There is this cycle. It might feel like there isn't much happening for you. Maybe it doesn't feel like there's much going on. It's time for you to heal. And within this healing space, we've got the Hierophant, which is a 5, and then the 5 of Cups as well. There is this feeling here of new learning, of reflecting, maybe developing a practice for looking at what has happened, looking at what needs to shift, looking at all of the wisdom you've gained with this Five of Cups card, and not looking back at the past and all the things that didn't work out. There is an opportunity here, and it is a learning opportunity, an opportunity that brings you deeper to your core understanding. Maybe this is understanding of parts of aspects of self, of personality, of your own gifts and skills. Maybe it's within certain institutions. Maybe it's within certain energy dynamics with other people, within yourself. There is a massive level of learning that's taking you to the next level, and you are going to come to balance. You are going to come to a much deeper place of emotional fulfillment. But not only that, opportunity for celebration with this Four of Wands. With the Six of Pentacles, the scales are going to be balanced. Things are going to be made right. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get back everything that you've invested from people. It doesn't work like that. But the scales are going to be balanced. But you play your part in balancing those scales by being able to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to nurture myself. I'm going to focus on these. I'm going to focus on working through these emotions that are coming up. Focus on processing the grief or the difficult emotions that I might have been feeling, the loss or disappointment of things not working out. But you're going to come to this place of deep fulfillment. And I loved that the Six of Wands, this card, popped out on the bottom. It just sort of popped out from the side. that is a symbol of victory. It's a symbol of success. It's a symbol of overcoming. And it takes persistence to overcome. It's a process. But you were going to have that process. You were going to achieve this. You were going to come to this new place of fulfillment. And that is yours. This is about you now, and recognizing where things haven't been working out, recognizing that it might be time to let certain things go. And these can be not just external objects within our life, but internal patterns, cycles, and behaviors that we continually repeat within different situations that end up resulting in very similar experiences. So there is scope here for brand new beginnings, for new possibility, for change. You're definitely coming to a place where things are going to be a lot more grounded, balanced, secure, success, opportunity for celebration, emotional fulfillment and stability, most of all, but also a greater understanding with this Queen of Cups. And for some of you, this might actually mean what you're learning right here with the Hierophant. This is just a last message for some of you. Everything that you've been learning might actually bring you to the place where you can assist others in overcoming these challenges and problems. So you might not see it right now, pile number 2, but everything that you've been learning, experiencing, growing through is going to come good. It's going to come to a point of balance. And for some of you, most definitely an opportunity to share with others what you've learned in whatever way that may manifest. Maybe writing, maybe teaching, maybe coaching, maybe counseling, maybe artistry of any kind. Even just in the way you relate to other people that might be going through similar experiences, family members, friends, or on a wider scale. You're gaining this wisdom and this ability to hold space for others. But the main message here is hold space for yourself in this process right now. You are coming back to strength, a different level of strength, by processing this loss, these past experiences, the disappointments, and working through them in this process, being able to be honest with yourself. You are transforming, and it's going to be really beautiful over the next few months as you really come back to a deeper sense of self. So pile number 2, I'm going to leave this here for you. I hope this reading assisted you and provided some valuable insight. I love doing this reading for you. It's always an honor, and I just send you so much love on your way. So thank you for being here, and feel free to subscribe. Come back anytime. I'll speak to you soon in another reading. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello there, pile number 3. If you were drawn to this pile, then this is your reading. I love that we have the labradorite coming out. I love it when I'm called to use labradorite in readings. It's one of my favourite stones. And pile number 3s for me are always quite mystical, quite spiritually minded. But let's see what comes through. I'm going to do your message cards last. And let's get these other cards for you. We have Full Moon in Leo, don't let pride get in your way. Friendship. Divinity. Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. Interesting. Odin, guidance. Interestingly drawn to all of the light energies in these. We've got the Mother in the reverse. Knowledge in the reverse. King of Earth in the reverse. Don't worry about the reversals. And magical realms. Just going to straighten these out a little bit. And then we have You Are Not Your Past and Spring. I love this. And you have all this bright energy, again, completely different to pile number 1 and pile number 2. You have all this bright energy here, and this really feels like brand new beginnings. This feels, with this spring especially, this feels like going somewhere, travel. It feels like exploration, new hope, new potential, stepping out in the world in a very different way, in a way in which that perhaps you haven't done before. There is this sensation of not being ready here with the Mother, the King of Earth, and Knowledge in the reverse. I think you have this equal mix of having more to offer than you realize, but also a message here with own and guidance, and don't let pride get in your way, that there is still so much more to learn. For some of you, there is this, I feel like you're stepping into a time of life where you're meeting and connecting with people that are more like-minded, recognizing the divinity, the importance of all of these connections, and recognizing how the people around you, especially if you've been in a period of isolation or you've felt alone, or maybe you haven't felt very connected to your own personal practices or a community, whether that's in person or at a distance, just like through the internet, for example, that kind of a community. There is a sense here, I really feel like there is a sense that maybe you felt stagnant up to this point, and what you don't see, the bigger picture, is that there is either people coming into your life that are going to help with their co-creative power. There is a greater sense of coming together in community in some way. And perhaps you have a lot to offer. But with this, don't let pride get in your way. There is also so much that we can learn from other people, from their experiences when we're open. And there is this inner radiance here, this inner light, this groundedness with these three cards that is going to come through. With Odin guidance in the King of Earth, there is definitely something that's going to help you get to the next level. And maybe you haven't seen that up to this point. Maybe you haven't seen how something, how can I phrase this? I'm trying to think of the best way I can phrase this without sounding rude or dismissive. Maybe you thought you had something figured out completely, and now there is a need for guidance and positive direction, redirection from an external source, from community, from somebody else doing similar things. Because with this trader, if you were perhaps a healer or perhaps involved in certain kinds of creativity, exchange energy, we exchange energy with friends, with people that we're connected to. The way I'm seeing this, and it's very interesting because, like I said, it's completely different. All of these energies in these paths have been completely different today. It's like your world's becoming bigger. And whilst you might feel that this may not be a good thing, actually what it's bringing forwards is brand new energy where you are receiving but also giving. And this is going to be a deeper level of transformation. So for some of you, with this, you are not your past. Perhaps you have come to a point in your own personal transformation where you're really ready to step out in a different way. Or you've just had a really big inner shift that means you're ready to express a different part of yourself. And this might mean opening up or discussing with other people, or discussing in other circles some of those experiences. But what you're ready for is this shift in energy, in these new connections. With spring, this could be something that you're working towards in the spring, depending on when you're finding this reading, what hemisphere you live in. This is all going to be different timing. But also spring symbolically is a time of new growth, is a time when the seeds begin to wake up after the winter months and things begin to grow again. And I think metaphorically, this is what I'm getting more from this reading, that you could have been in a hermit mode kind of an energy, a time when things felt stagnant, when things felt like they weren't growing. But now, at this point, you are at the beginnings of a reawakening. No matter how many times or how many awakenings you've had, you're at a point of reawakening, of deeper awakening, reaching a fresh level of self, something that you're ready to share or show up in a different way. And this is bringing with it a beautiful scope for deeper connection, for new connections. There is the sensation here that maybe you don't feel ready. And this is, I think from this, what I'm getting is that you need to believe in yourself. We have this beautiful friendship card here. This is definitely new beginnings, new community, new friendship, new circles. And together it feels like you're going to realize that there is a lot to be gained from having these people, these connections in your life. And maybe that's something that you haven't felt before. Maybe that's something that you haven't experienced before. It could put to bed a lot of issues with family, a sense of disconnection from family, from community, from friends. You know that saying of like finding your tribe. This could be the point at which you feel like you're having those moments, having those experiences. And I feel like this is a really good and positive shift for you. But also being humble enough to know that we're still all growing, we're still all changing. No one of us has it all figured out or has all the answers. And I feel like with this trader and this energy exchange and with the divinity card, you're going to recognize, and this is a reminder that in the bigger picture, we recognize that everybody offers something. Everybody can be a teacher. Everything in our life, every experience, every encounter, whether animal, nature, human, everything has the opportunity to teach us something and make us realize the sense of divinity that is alive within all of us, that animates us all. Okay, being drawn to these cards, but I'm also being drawn to my mystical unicorns, so I might have to do a combination of those. And this is just a reminder right now that this is a collective reading. I do offer personal readings if that's something that you were interested in. So all of my information is in the description box below. That's so many cards. We can't take all of them. And I hadn't asked the question yet. So how can pile number 3 best work with this energy in this bigger picture to move forwards? Page of Cups. Yeah. Get a couple more before I say anything. 7 of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. Okay, for some of you this could lead to a new relationship. I'm going to honour the fact that that flipped out. And that one too. I do only read this, I do only shuffle this card in the upright, but it has a tendency to flip and reverse the cards that need to flip, and I always honour that. Let's get the bottom of the deck. Okay. There could have been a lot of experiences from the past, things with the 7 of Pentacles, especially when it connects you to different groups, to different organizations or different relationships, friendships, romantic or otherwise, that left you feeling a bit bitter, a bit sour, left a bitter taste in your mouth, you know, and that could have been one of the reasons why you've stepped away from community, or you stepped away from certain types of community and kind of became a bit of a lone ranger. You just went out and did this stuff by yourself in whatever it is, whether that's just life or spirituality or activities, hobbies, groups of interests that matter to you. So there is this sense of disappointment from the past, and that you had to decide to let that go. But also, you know, you are not your past. These experiences are not necessarily destined to repeat. You are not your past. So what's happened in the past isn't necessarily going to happen again. And interestingly, what we're getting here is approaching this gently with a loving heart, extending yourself forwards in a meaningful, honest, and open way. But we have the balancing energy of that, which I think was really important. The Knight of Wands in the reverse and the Three of Wands in the reverse. That is an interesting one because that comes with multiple messages. The Knight of Wands in the reverse is saying to me that you're not looking to rush into anything, and perhaps taking a slow and steady, more moderate approach to what you invest into is going to be beneficial to find the thing that really feels right for you without overcommitting yourself too soon, especially if you feel wary from past experiences. depending on what this is in your life, whatever part of your life this energy is kind of becoming apparent, it feels like more of a sensation that's leading you to try new things, to connect with different people. And that might mean putting your cup out there, trying things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, without rushing into committing to any one thing, because you have choices with the Lover's cards. There is always a choice. You have a choice about what you decide to invest in, what you decide to commit to. And with the Three of Wands in the reverse, the interesting message that was coming through is you don't have to overly commit or overly wait for other things to find you. It's not an energy of waiting for those things to come to you or going out and pushing too much. I think there is a balance here of you might well need to go out there and perhaps do a bit of research or investigation to find the things that interest you. And then maybe, just for example, perhaps it was a drumming circle or an art group, two different things here. And you might have to try one or two before you decide that you love the experience of one over the others. One just feels right. And it's not just the people, it's the place, it's the location, it's the experience that you have, it's the overall. So with this Seven of Wands being on the bottom of the deck, yeah, and the Four of Wands, there is this feeling here of persevering, of trying, of experiencing. But in that process, you are going to work out what doesn't feel right for you and what does. And in that way, you are going to find what mutually opens you up to all of these beautiful experiences, whilst not repeating experiences of the past, or perhaps you've been burnt in the past and you've not realized somebody's true intentions or their true colors, as it were, until much further down the line. And that breeds with it this sense of insecurity, this King of Earth in the reverse. So what we've got here is this willingness to try, to recognize what doesn't feel right, what doesn't feel aligned, by not feeling too proud to try new things or to put yourself out there, for not making other people wrong for if it doesn't feel right for you. But then deciding, actually, this does feel right. This does feel like it's good for me, it's meant for me, it's going to help me grow, it's going to help me to find the best of myself, but also not in a solely self-serving way, in a way that I can contribute, I can build friendship, I can feel like a part of community, and it becomes this mutual exchange, as in the Lovers. This could, of course, relate to personal relationships of all kinds, and it could be a romantic relationship. For some of you, I feel like a romantic relationship could blossom from the wider experience of this, and that is built upon something very, very meaningful. And it feels like something that you weren't expecting, and it certainly feels like not the overarching message of this reading. It feels, for some, that could certainly be where it ends up, and you don't see it coming. But the friendship, that strong foundation, is vital. And that sense of community is what you've been working on building and what you're coming towards. But they literally won't let me end this reading without doing a couple of unicorns. So let's get them. King of Cups. Ace of Pentacles. One more, please. Okay, two more. We'll take them. We've got the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Wands in the reverse. Again, Eight of Wands in the reverse, not rushing into things. Seven of Cups, realizing you have so many different options and choices. King of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, so many opportunities and new beginnings. And you are going to know the one that feels best for you. Trust your emotions. You don't have to be guided by a poor temper. There isn't necessarily, I mean, they're just saying that because it says it takes a few to keep my temper under control around you, which is a bit of a controversial thought of the King of Cups, but he typically keeps his emotions under control. So the message I'm getting from that is with this Pride card, if you go into an environment that's very triggering, that can be really beneficial in the most backwards of ways sometimes, when we realize what is still triggering parts of our ego self from our old ego attachments, or just parts of self that perhaps are quite reactive. And that isn't in our highest good, our best interest when working in a community. So there is a message here of even those triggering aspects, those triggering experiences are our guides and teachers. But also, there comes a point where if that's just repeating and somebody seems to be doing that for fun, or somebody has that kind of messiah guru mentality where they have to be a leader and everybody else has to fall in line underneath, and they're constantly pushing buttons and everybody else is having to do the work while they're apparently not. That maybe is a very specific example, but maybe that's not the right environment for you. But from that point on, you make the decision, excuse me, to walk away from that because it's in your highest good. And that doesn't need to involve anyone else, doesn't need to involve conflict or shaming anyone else, just realizing that you within that are not going to grow, or it's not going to bring the best out of you. And at that point, it's okay to walk away and not overly commit because there are other choices, there are other options. So this is about what you finding what's right for you, letting go of some of those difficulties of the past, being able to be part of a group experience or a community or a new relationship, and recognizing that there's an element of putting yourself out there and an element of not rushing in. But you are going to have this very grounded new beginning, and it's going to be really beautiful for you. So pile number 3, I'm going to leave this reading here for you. I hope it assisted you. As always, it is my absolute honor to do these readings, and I really enjoy doing them for you. So if you have any suggestions for future readings, feel free to put them in the box below, in the comments, and I will see you again another time. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.